I'm sorry, we're on. Welcome to the Vegas Voice Celebrity Corner. I'm your host, Evan Davis, and I'll be bringing you behind-the-scenes interviews with performers and entertainers here in Las Vegas. My guest today is a gal, a woman who really knows how to present the Great American Songbook. She has a Christmas show coming up soon, and we'll hear some of her clips a little later in the show. Let's welcome Amanda King.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm terrific. Good. Now, I do know I asked you earlier that did you start like everyone else did in church singing when you were a kid? And you said to me,
no.
Okay. Okay.
No, you know what? My voice, I was always an actress. I have a theater background, and I did musical theater, but I was not destined, in my mind, to be a singer. My mother graduated from Juilliard with top voice honors in opera. So I literally grew up with an opera diva. Yes. So, and then, she sang backup for, she was on Pink Floyd's The Wall album. She was singing backup. I mean, she lived in Europe, did all that. So, after opera, she became like a disco queen, and I was a disco princess. And so I was like, nope, singing is not my thing. I felt my voice was very tinny and, just not really full. It was good for musical theater, but not, for other things. And at that time, jazz wasn't even on my mind, which I'm sad about. I came to it later in life. So, nope, in church, it was just, getting through the songs, not being the star of the songs. So there are other people that, do that style much better than I do. And I let them do it, and I praise when they do, and I love to hear it.
Well, where'd you come from?
So originally I'm from Indiana. I'm a Hoosier. Who's your mama? Who's your daddy? So no one really knows what a Hoosier is.
I have no idea what's going on.
No, so, Indiana, people from Ohio are Buckeyes. So people from Indiana are Hoosiers. And so the theory is that in southern Indiana, when you're down by the Ohio River, it gets really foggy. And so when you're walking across this field and you hear someone on the other side, you go, who's there? Who's there?
Is that how we came?
That's one of the theories as to how we became the Hoosiers. God only knows. They put R's in all their words. So they say wash, like wash your hands for supper. So it's who's there becomes Hoosier. So yeah, weird stuff. Anyway, I'm from the Midwest.
That's Amanda King. Thank you, folks. We will.
We're done.
Okay. So and then I know San Francisco, and tell me.
So I as an adult, as a kid, I had a really wonderful life. I lived in Europe. I did all this stuff. As an adult, I feel like my life has been boring. I literally moved from Indianapolis to San Francisco, which is not boring, which was wonderful. And I was there for 17 years. Wow. And then I moved here in 2017. So,
what'd you do in San Francisco for 17 years?
Gosh, what did I do? I worked.
Okay.
I was married. I had a baby, and raised my kid, and and I did start singing. So I started singing in 2003. So there was this cabaret competition, and I came in second. I don't really remember why I entered it. I don't remember what the impetus was for me to enter it, but I came in second, and that kind of put the nugget in my brain, like, this music is really wonderful, and yada, yada, yada. And then it wasn't until about 3 years later, I was doing a show with Terrence McNally. He was the artist in residence at the New Conservatory Theater Center. And he had written, so they cast the show. So it's quite a backwards process. They cast the show, and then he wrote the script around the actors. And so he cast me as this gay Caribbean cabaret singer. And I was like, well, I love men, but okay, I can sing, Hey,
it's a paying gig.
It's a paying gig. And it's with Terrence McNally. So anyway, I got to sing in that show, and something had happened to my voice. Like I always tell people, I don't know if I had balls and they dropped. Something happened. Like I went through a second puberty, and my voice became fuller, and I was able to sing music that I loved, and music being the songs that I would see and hear in the movie musicals of the 30s and 40s. I loved the movie musicals of the 30s and 40s. Like I was watching Turner Classic Movies all day, every day, like my happy place. And Yeah. So, and that's how I discovered the Great American Songbook. And, you start diving in and you find Ella, you find Anita O'Day, you find, all these other wonderful people. And that's just kind of how it started.
Yeah, talking about the 20s, 30s, 40s, you were lead in the Cole Porter club review called what?
Les Ambassadeurs. Yes.
Yeah.
So in 1928, Cole Porter was living in Paris, and he wrote this review, and it had been lost for like 75 years. And so I was part of the Cole Porter Society, which to me is crazy that there's only one Cole Porter Society in all of the United States, but it's in San Francisco. It was started by Noah Griffin and his wife Meredith. And so they founded the Les Ambassadeurs Review, and it had only been produced and actually performed once in 75 years, and that was on the East Coast. So we did it on the West Coast, and it was fantastic. I mean, Cole Porter, you can't go wrong. The man was a genius. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Who were some of the influences in your life as far as that?
Ella was, but not as much as Anita O'Day. Anita O'Day was a hard-living, driving broad. Like, I love her sound. I love her story and I love her sound. Who else was an influence? Just like different people. I honestly have to say, like Betty Grable. I mean, the stars of the 30s and 40s, you know? June Christie was up there. Peggy Lee, of course. But, like I had crushes on William Powell. Like it was because I was watching those movies all the time. I mean, as a man, I would have a crush on anybody should have a crush on William Powell. He was just amazing. But those kinds of stars of yesteryear, I just loved the whole idea of how they had to live, and the way that they lived. And then, of course, there was Lena Horne and Ethel Waters and other, African Americans that really paved the way for people. So the Christmas show is December 18th. It is going to be a throwback to the old Christmas specials of the 1960s and 70s. I have been watching Christmas specials this year since July, actually. So I've watched pretty much every possible Andy Williams special that's on YouTube.
Wow.
Right now I'm up to Michael Bublé. That's a bit modern for my taste. But actually his Christmas specials from like 2011 to 2013 were really actually wonderful. There's been a lot of modern Christmas specials I've watched where they try to mimic the old stuff and it just comes off as really cheesy, But Michael Bublé, I can't say it. I'm like Elmo.
Bubbly.
Elmo kept saying Michael Bublé. It's Michael Bublé. He did a really great job. Anyway, December 18th at thespacelv.com live stream. It's going to be fantastic.
Yes. I know you've been doing some things during the pandemic, and now that things have opened up a little, tell us about what you've done just recently in the past.
So I started live streaming during the pandemic, and friends of mine opened their living room to me, and they have a beautiful grand piano. And so Patrick Hogan and I, did shows on StageIt.com. I'd never heard of StageIt.com before, but it's an online concert, website. Yeah. And we just had a lot of fun, and and so that kind of started it. And then after that, now I'm doing live shows at this new venue here in town called the Vegas Room, which is a beautiful supper club in the kind of 1950s style. And you've been there. You liked
very
it.
Intimate, really a nice little club.
Yeah. I think it's definitely what Las Vegas needs. It's a listening room. So there's no service while you're singing, while you're performing. So there's no clinking, no servers walking around. It's very nice, very elegant. Right. And then I was feeling the need for Christmas. So 2 years ago, I did a Christmas EP, which is what we heard a little bit of earlier. And so I also did a Christmas show 2 years ago. And I said, this year of all years, we need a little Christmas right this very minute. So I'm doing another show.
Yeah. You talking about shows, you had told me you've been on some game shows. What was that about?
So when I was 16, I was on Wheel of Fortune Teen Week.
Teen Week.
Do you remember Wheel of Fortune when they had the rotating rooms and you had to choose stuff out of the rotating rooms? Like, this is OG Wheel of Fortune. Like, I'm not even going to tell you 'cause
I'm
it'll
not
age
that
me.
old. I
Okay,
mean,
I'm
so
sorry.
I have no idea. But
Forgive me. Well, for us octogenarians in the room, it was the 80s, and it was great. And I got to meet Pat and Vanna. He stands in a box, by the way, just to let you know.
just so you know, in the 80s, that's the reason I don't remember it. Okay, but go ahead.
We probably shouldn't remember the 80s, but we do. So anyway, so I was on Wheel of Fortune as a teen, and I got screwed out of the money because I was in the middle, and the kid on this side kept putting all the letters in, right? And then I would roll like, lose a turn or something. Then this idiot on this side would fill in all the other letters, but wouldn't be able to solve the puzzle. And then he'd roll lose a turn, and so it'd go back to the girl over here. So I was screwed.
Oh,
Anyway,
geez.
but the funny thing about that, and this sums up my mother to a T, the 80s were all about shoulder pads. And as when you're on the Wheel of Fortune, the audience is over here and you're not allowed to look at them because they could be giving you, clues.
Mhm.
So I did happen to glance over once at my mother and she's going, "Fix your shoulder pads. Fix your shoulder pads." So that's my Wheel of Fortune experience. And then I was on The Price is Right, the nighttime version. Do you remember that?
The nighttime
Does
version. of The
anyone
Price is-
remember that? No.
Who knows? Who knows?
1994, there was a gentleman, I think, named Doug Davidson who hosted it. They tried to bring it to the evening, so it's to compete against Wheel of Fortune, funnily
Okay.
enough. It didn't last long, but I was on there. I got to go up and spin the big wheel. I ended up with a Pierre Cardin watch that made my wrist break out.
Oh, one of those Pierre.
One of those Pierre Cardin watches.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
You asked me to ask you crazy questions.
Yeah,
And
let
so
loose.
I have no idea what's a crazy question. Do you sing in the shower?
Yes.
Oh, do you shower is what I'm first.
Yes,
Okay.
I
you
do
do.
shower.
All right.
Yes.
So you sing in the shower. What do you sing in the shower? Is there?
So I'm not really a scat singer. It's within me. I just don't do it in public because I don't feel like I'm really comfortable doing it. And there's so many people that do it so much better. But in the shower, I
You
will
could
attempt
scat and
to
you could
scat,
scat. Yeah.
and then I will censor myself, and then I will laugh and try not to slip and crack my head open.
Sure. You want to make believe or we're doing the shower scene? And,
Nope.
okay.
I'll just go doobie doobie doo, doobie doo doo.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You somewhere it said that you were professionally trained. I read that somewhere. So what does that mean? Or
That means that there have been people that have tried to
Try.
train me, have tried to give me guidance. No, I've been part of several theater companies, but one of the most prestigious was the Actors Theater of Louisville.
Mhm.
And I was in their apprentice program, and I was one of the youngest apprentices ever. And that was really, really wonderful. And then I was also part of a Moss Repertory Theater. This is back in the 80s, with Rosetta Lenoir, who was actually, U.B. Blake was her godfather. And she was an amazing Black actress that was in a lot of the old movies. And so Amos Repertory was for children of color in New York, because I lived in New York for a couple of years, went to school there.
We didn't even hear about
And
New York
we didn't
yet.
hear about New York,
All right,
no,
we
but
will get there.
Yeah, again, the 80s. A lot happened in the 80s.
I wouldn't remember.
So, I've had professional training here and there, but as far as like voice, coaching, that kind of thing, not really. I've worked with some people sometimes, but nothing consistently, which I think is to my detriment, but I do have a lot of natural talent. But actually now I'm going to start working with a coach because I want to take my voice in a bit of a different direction. And I think people should always be growing and trying to expand and learn.
Mhm.
And so that's what I'm doing. So, yeah.
Tell me about New York. I mean, you you were there in the 80s. I left New York in, I think, 79.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was there
in the
mid 80s,
70s.
and I was in junior high. Oh, damn, I just aged myself. It's okay, don't do the math. But it was wonderful. So I went to junior high, and then I actually got accepted to LaGuardia School of the Arts.
Mhm.
But we moved before I could do that. And so
Oh.
I spent probably 2 years in New York, and just did the dang thing. My mother was living there, working. She was part of the arts, and it was great. It was really wonderful. Yeah, it was just kind of wild.
Do you have like a special moment that you remember was really super when you performed, or something that really was like the epitome of God, my career?
Wow. You know what? I sang the national anthem for the San Francisco Giants.
Mm.
That was a lot of fun. That was also the day that Prince died, though, and it was announced in the stadium. And I'll tell you, and I got chills just thinking about it, when the whole stadium burst out into purple rain. That was amazing.
Was that before you sang the national
No,
anthem?
it was after.
Oh,
It was
okay.
after. But it was just I just the hairs on my arms just standing. I mean, it was beautiful. And then what else? I've wow. I downplay my accomplishments, so I'm usually probably not the best person to ask. Hey, Amanda, what's great about you, or what's great about what you've done? There's been a lot of things, but that's one thing that was seminal.
Oh,
So
yeah. Well, on that note, we'll end it and get you back another time to
Yes.
continue on with some crazy stories that we really didn't get into. There was a lot of crazy things I wanted to ask you, but we're going to save that so you come back and see Amanda.
we're going to
Keating
work
next
on your
time she's
definition
on.
of crazy, Evan.
Yeah, I didn't ask anything crazy for you, but we will. I promise you next time
Okay.
we'll have some crazy stuff. Catch her Christmas show on live streaming, and you'll get all the information here. With that, I want to say thank you, Amanda King.